Welcome everyone, Anistara Ma Ka here. What a beautiful day to be celebrating the launch of our 1111 University. It's a big initiation, sacred pilgrimage, and joint research expedition to Egypt next year, 2022. So hang tight and we'll give you lots of more information about it and guide you through the website at the end of this live stream. So here we are, Frequency Friday, just dropping into the beauty and the frequency of this week, and so much power and so much movement coming through our collective right now. And so I'm just anchoring that energy, grounding in the energy in this moment in time, taking a deep breath, welcoming in that divine channel to share with all of you Messages from Egypt, Part 4. All right, well, I'd like to get started on our presentation. You'll find that I'll be tapping my little 1111 tuning fork periodically, and this guides my beautiful Brielle in the background, who I'm so grateful for, changing over the slides and things for us. So here we are, Messages from Egypt Part 4, where we get to start going down the Nile a little bit further and ending our trip in Aswan, Philae area. And our sacred pilgrimage will be taking a very similar route. It just happens to be that way because geographically you start in Cairo and you go down to Aswan. So I'd like to just share a little disclaimer here. I am not an Egyptologist. I'm not a chematologist. What I am is a wisdom keeper and a wisdom channeler is more accurate. And when I visit sacred sites, I receive downloads. I receive information and wisdom that comes through. Whether it's true for you or not, you can take it or leave it. But it's definitely my perspective when I am in a space and communicating with the energies and the frequencies there. And so I would love to just ask everybody to please honor and respect where this information is coming from and all the photos and videos that I personally took during my recent pilgrimage. If you want to share anything, please go ahead in tact, like in the context of the presentation. I'm happy to have everyone share as much as possible with their friends and family this beautiful body of work. So we are moving down the Nile on our dahabeya, these beautiful wooden Egyptian sailboats. And what an honor to be able to experience the Nile in this way. And as we're traveling on the Nile, we would stop at different sites. The first one that we're going to explore today is a quarry. Well, let me see. I have my little notes here too. I will go further into it and explain it later because I can't find it at this moment. But the point is that we move down the Nile and we are experiencing these different sites along the banks of the Nile. And here is some video of another dahabeya.
Another dahabeya going by. See how beautiful they are with the sails.
You can get a feeling of the energy, the peacefulness there.
Nice dahabeya!
I had a sweet family on the top deck and they were waving and saying hello. Wonderful. So one of the stops that we came upon was a quarry, and it's a quarry where they are basically extracting the stones to create some of the other sites. And I'm trying to pull up the name of the quarry. I do not remember it right now. It starts with an S. Silsila Quarry. And this is further down the Nile. So we're getting closer to the Nubian desert. And some of the glyphs on the walls are beginning to change. So these in particular were pointed out to us as Nubian glyphs, which is more of the culture that we're moving into as we move further down the Nile. And so these Nubian glyphs really called to me in a big way. They are very different feeling than the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. And yet there's still this similar energy, similar frequency or resonation when I was viewing them. The Ankh, the breath of life. Always now one of my favorite symbols. I always resonated with it, but now after actually experiencing it and seeing it repeatedly, every site had Ankhs. Pretty much every deity, when they're sitting on the throne, they're holding an Ankh and some other either staff or a wasat or a papyrus reed. And so this is a very common glyph that we see throughout Egypt. So as we move further into this quarry area, we were told by the Egyptian guides there that the Egyptologist's perspective was that this entire block was removed from the side of this cliff with chisels and hammers. Now, I don't know about you, but when I see this, I'm like, how in the world did they use chisels and hammers? It just intuitively, it didn't sit with me as an accurate statement. And so we'll see on this next image that you can see even closer that there's these striations or these levels where the stone had been cut away. And so my husband, he's a woodworker and he does a lot of building. And when I see him using a saw or a blade to cut something, it leaves similar patterns and striations along the board. And so to me, when I look at this mountainside or where they're removing and quarrying these large stones, that, mind you, weigh between 2, 3, 20, 1,000 tons, depending on the size of the stone. And then we're told that they are pulled from here and actually placed on a boat and transported on the Nile to the site where these temple sites or sacred sites are being built. And so, again, I'm really, really sitting with the fact that ancient Egypt had so much more technology. This civilization had technology that maybe we don't even have today. Some of these sites, it confuses engineers, even in present day, of how some of these structures were built. And so, again, I ask, is it chisel and hammer, or is it advanced technology of some kind? And again, we move into this huge stone that just has 2 doorways on it. We talked about it in several parts. I think pretty much every part of Messages from Egypt had some kind of doorway or portal or gateway that literally is a doorway on the face of a large stone or a wall that seemingly is going nowhere. And ultimately, it all comes down to what you believe in your heart. And so I asked the question, where do these doorways go to? How can we activate them? How can we open them? How can we perhaps even one day move through them? And where will they take us? This I would like to explore with you. So as we were walking back to our dahabeya, honestly, there was this beautiful sand dunes. We're in the Sahara, the sun is radiating, and I just started seeing this rainbow energy coming off the sun. And my travel partner, Cynthia, and I decided to take some time to take some photos here. And of course, we have this little spirit orb here dancing around us, or dancing around me in this particular photo. And it just danced and was playing with us. This little fairy spirit, light being energy was playing with us the whole time we were here taking this moment for these photos. So I was feeling radiance in my heart. I was feeling so tuned in and tapped in at this point. We had spent several days on the Nile. I was in a much more relaxed state after all the chaos of Luxor and the big cities that we had just been traveling from. And so just having this moment of radiance here. So this is the Kom Ombo temple. It's a bit of a slow motion video. And just take a moment, take it in. This particular temple is a double temple. It was a temple that was dedicated to two deities, which is rare. They usually are dedicated to just one. This one is dedicated to Sobek and to Horus the Elder. And so it had a double entrance here. As you can see, there's the doorway on the right and the left. And this particular temple really, really spoke to me. We spent several hours here and really, really took the time to drop into the energy of this place and the reconciliation of duality, the reconciliation of polarity, and how we can come into the energy of unify, of unification, of unity. And so Kom Ombo Temple was a big, it was an important place for me. I felt a deep resonation with the frequency. I felt a deep remembrance, a deep understanding, and felt like there's so much more here to learn. And so I'm really looking forward to arriving to this temple and exploring it on a deeper level. During our pilgrimage next year, we plan to spend all day at this temple. So I'm really looking forward to that. This is also one of the sites that has the flower of life embedded in the stone on the floor, like on the ground. And unfortunately, I don't have a photo of it. My friend's camera took that picture that day, and I didn't obtain it from her in time for this presentation. But here it is. Rabbi is explaining to our group the outside of the temple, and it is just magnificent. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the codes of Kom Ombo Temple. So just inside the doorway, as you enter the temple, you turn around. There are these beautiful glyphs on both sides of the doorway. And you can see on the right-hand picture here that there is a long staff with a serpent spiraling up the staff, right? So for me, and practicing Kundalini energy movement and the chakra system, and even creating a Kundalini hoop dance, sacred spiritual hoop dance practice for many years, and teaching a telecourse about it, this symbol of Kundalini energy movement I see in many places. And so here, the serpent energy was very much alive. We'll see a lot of glyphs with serpent energy. Well, I believe I shared two in this particular presentation, but there was a lot of serpent energy in this doorway. And again, Kundalini energy is about the masculine and the feminine, and moving our chakras in a rotation. And so that movement of Kundalini energy is important for activating our chakra system, for clearing our chakra system, and for being a channel or receiving energy from the divine, grounding it into Mother Earth, and then also bringing up Mother Earth energy into the heavens. And so when we talk about the chakras, there's the earth-based chakras and the heaven-bound chakras, and our heart is the center. Our heart is that meeting place in the middle. And so we'll dive into that a little bit further as we move along here. Don't mind the wind. Wow, it really was windy that day. I apologize if you're listening with the volume really turned up. Okay, so that was just some video of the serpent's wall there on the inside of the doorway. And then this double serpent glyph, it was my understanding, and I was told that this is the god of the underworld. And again, he's holding that duality, he's holding that polarity, but then in the center, they're connected, right? And even in the shape of a U for unification, or within you, you have both. You have both masculine and feminine. You have both light and shadow. We experience duality and polarity in this 3D matrix, and yet we are unified and connected. And so I just really adored this glyph. It really spoke to me. And so here we have Sobek. Sobek is one of the gods that this particular temple was dedicated to. And his face is a little bit scratched off on this particular glyph, but he is crocodile-headed deity. And the crocodile is basically the pharaoh's power, right? He symbolizes fertility. He symbolizes military prowess. And Sobek served as a protective deity with apotropaic qualities, invoked particularly for the protection against dangers present in the Nile. And so that little definition was from Wikipedia. And back in the day, there was all kinds of crocodiles in the Nile. I can't say that I saw any when we were there, so I don't know if they are anymore. But this particular deity is, he's meant to be a protector. He's meant to assist those who could be in danger from the crocodiles. And also, when you think about crocodiles and how much they are connected to water, they are water animal, but they're also land animal. And so you can experience both water and land. And the other deity that this particular temple is dedicated to is Horus, the falcon-headed god. And so he's very connected to air, right? He can be on the land or the air. And so we're connecting here the elements as well. Oh, I just love this glyph. It was really one of my favorites there. And what I titled it here was Showered with Life. And the reason being is from these chalices, pouring out of it is the first breath of life, Ankh, and the Wasat, which Wasat can symbolize infinity. It can also symbolize like the Samsara of westing, which is the term for death. And then the first breath of life, the Ankh, is the first breath of life. So it's a rebirth, right? So there's death and rebirth, death and rebirth, death and rebirth, or infinite life. So he's being showered by life here. Oh, such a special glyph here. Actually, let's go back to that one really quick because there was something I wanted to point out here. So we've got Horus on the right. We've got the falcon god on the right here. And then we have Thoth on the other side, also another bird-headed entity. And the gentleman in the center is Ptolemy, yes, the second. And so again, this is a pharaoh being showered with life by the gods, being blessed by the gods. So thank you. We'll carry on to the next. So I'm sorry. We are at activating the third eye. So here we have the pharaoh being blessed. He's being crowned. And what I see are two women actually activating his third eye. They're holding energy or circulating energy between the front of the pineal gland and the back of the head. And so this energy is going right through that third eye. And so much of our, dare I say, awakening, our ascension, our enlightenment, has to do with seeing with our spiritual eye, our third eye, to open our spiritual eye and to see things from that perspective, not always with our physical eyes. Because our truth, our inner truth, is that we are divine. And so that word namaste, I see the divine in you. I acknowledge the divine in you as you acknowledge the divine in me. Or the phrase from the movie Avatar, I see you. I see you. Well, I see you means so much more than I see you with my eyes. It means I see you with my spiritual eye. I see your spirit. I see your soul. I see your energy. I see your frequency. I'm witnessing and experiencing you. And so I see you on a much deeper soul level. So this particular glyph was a very powerful moment as well. This site in general is just so powerful. It's incredible. So Rabi here explained the planting calendar. They had an entire wall covered with the calendar and counting of the days. You can see the glyph here on the right-hand side. Each of their weeks are 10 days. And then I believe there was 36 weeks in a year, so 360, leaving those remaining days, 5 days, for the netters, for the gods and goddesses, for the deities. And so they are explaining here when to plant what crops. And we'll see later in the NILE meter where they, we'll get into the NILE meter, but the NILE meter will help assist with this planting calendar and determine what crops to plant, when, and where. So it was very cool to see this calendar here and experience a little bit more of what their life might have been like when the Nile was flooding. So here we have an offering to Sobek. And Sobek is holding the Ankh in the left hand and the Wasat in the right hand. So that staff again, and that internal breath of life, that infinite breath of life, death and rebirth, rebirth and death, and it's all connected. It's all cyclical, right? And so we have the young pharaoh here offering to Sobek. Now this was very interesting as well, very much how there was the planting calendar. This actually shows the surgical tools used in the process of mummification. And so there was parts of this temple that actually had basalt floor, which is sterile. It doesn't absorb the blood when they are going through the process of removing the body organs and such. And so upon closer examination, you can take a little closer look and you can see on that second line down, yeah, right about where the blue dot is, that there's all these tools, right? There's scalpels in the center there. There's tongs to like grab something and pull something out. And so it was a very unique lift to have these instructions, essentially, and the tools that are needed. Very cool. So this was one of the glyphs. Actually, this was not pointed out to us by the group. I was just walking along on my own at this moment in time, and I saw this, and just instantaneously my heart leapt from my chest, and I said, look at this infinity sign here. This knot of infinity. And if you look at the photo to the left of it, you'll see that the infinity goes right through this energy that's come bolting out of the heart at the bottom, right? So we have this heart in the center, we have the energy just emanating and coming up from the heart into these infinity signs that goes through the energy of the heart, and it's balancing the left and the right. Again, we're the polarity and the duality, and finding that central channel of balance, finding that Jed pillar of balance, the infinite light pillar. So this was a very special glyph, and as far as the sense of unifying the polarities, unifying the duality, and really sitting with what does that take? And it takes being in the heart. The energy of the heart brings unification. Oh, so here's the NILE meter that I was speaking of earlier. And what this is essentially, when you're standing above it and you're looking down, it's this huge, it looks like a well, essentially, with a spiral staircase at the bottom of it. And what it does is it's a structure for measuring the Nile River's clarity and water level during the annual flood season. So this helped determine field patterns and like where they could and couldn't plant their crops for that year, because they could tell how high the water will go. So if it's a lower year, you can plant closer to the river, and if the water level is going to be really high that year, you had to plant further away from the shore of the Nile. So very handy tool, very genius, ingenuitive for sure. Sasha.
Magical order of the cosmos to build the temple towards that. She was like a specialist. So everything was magic.
And you mentioned three dams too.
That's her seven stars, the seven sisters.
I just love this one. Let's dive a little further into Sashat with the next image here. And so you'll see on the left side, the first photo, it shows the star above Sashat's head. Now, this is a symbol of what my friend was explaining to me, the seven sisters, which is a part of the Pleiadian star system. And so she's an emissary from the stars. You can believe it or not, take it or leave it. But in my heart, when I see this image, I felt and knew that she has a wisdom unlike some of the other deities. And the reason being is she has that bird's eye perspective, that spiritual eye perspective from higher up, from off planet, right? And so her job was to help assist the placement of the pyramids and the temples and the sacred sites. And the reason is that you can, essentially there's a grid, there's a ley line where these temples are placed. And you can only really imagine that or see that when you're not on the ground, right? If you're seeing it from an aerial perspective. And so to say that she is connected to the stars, that she's an astrologer, and that she assists in laying out or mapping out where these sacred sites and pyramids are constructed. The star pattern is also structural forms of nature. It indicates that she comes from the stars. And so I'm going to read a little excerpt about her as well. Here, there's another photo on the right where there's a close-up of her dress, of her gown. And if you see at the bottom of the dress, you can see paws and a tail between her legs. And so she's literally wearing a leopard skin. Now, leopard skins were only worn by priests of significant level of power, achievement, wisdom, and knowledge. And so when she's wearing a priestly robe of Egyptian or of a leopard skin, then it shows that she has deep wisdom that's acknowledged on the highest level. So I wrote a little something here about Sashat. And then I have a quote as well. She's an astrologer and a master magician. She could feel the currents and harness them. The 7 rays are 7 sacred tones, chakras, colors, angles of light, aspects of the one source of the breath of life, combined to create a perception of physical form. From the stars of the primordial waters. So that was from Patricia Lehman from chematology.com. And so my response, what I wrote here is, my understanding, my belief is that she is an emissary from the stars, perhaps the Pleiadians. She holds cosmological knowledge of the bigger picture, the bird's eye view of Horus, to witness all time and all space at once. She wears the leopard pelt of the highest order because she comes with the wisdom from off-planet. Now there's another glyph where she's not holding a staff, but she's actually holding like an artist's palette with different colors on it, but each of the colors are actually shin rings. So that symbol that we spoke about that are portals to another dimension. And so she literally paints portals to other dimensions. And so her inkwells of the image of her as a scribe has the shin rings on it, meaning that she scribes and documents the knowledge that comes through the portals of other dimensions from the other side. And then Patricia went on and said, Sashat offers us the scale and tools for the measurement of our perception of time and space itself. And then I have a beautiful quote here from Dr. Ibrahim Karim, Biogeometry. He says, well then, we have here 7 abstract extrasensory qualities that manifest themselves in any sense scale and enable us to translate any color into musical notes. Smell, fragrance, touch, taste, or shape quality. These are the qualitative scales for our sensation of everything in this 3D reality. Knowledge of them offers us the tools for the creation of portals. There we have it. These portals between heaven and earth can be transcended. And this is the exact function of the temple structures, to open the portals between heaven and earth. And so, of course, Sashat speaks to me. It's like, right? She's just so, I'm really enjoying learning more about her, and I want to learn more about her, and I want to stand in front of this glyph again with some of you.
So we're here at the temple, Kom Ombo, and Rabbi guided us to this area right here above my head. There's many interpretations going around the group with it, but one of the things we really kind of agree upon is that it is a galactic portal. There's the Eye of Ra on either side, as well as ears on either side. And so for me, it's like the face and the third eye, and activating that pineal gland to connect with the divine so that we can be in communion with it. And so I wanted to sit and write for a while, just across from here. See what comes through.
Mm-hmm. And I did. I sat down there for, oh gosh, probably about 25 minutes or so, just writing in my journal. And I wanted to just share a little bit of a close-up photo of this galactic portal. So you can see here at the top, you have Isis in the traditional kneeling position to the side with her wings outstretched. And on her head, above her crown, is the feather of Mot. Again, this is the feather, the weighing of the feather. When you have wested and before going to the afterlife, your heart is weighed with the feather to find out if you are a good person, essentially. And so as you look further down at the doorway, you can see on either side the two eyes. On the right and the left side of the doorway, the two eyes, and below it are the two ears. So you've got it on both sides of the doorway. And what this reminded me of is in the Luxor temple, we shared in part 2, part 3. Can't remember at this point. Yes, I think it was part 2. We spoke about how actually it was part 3. We spoke about how to get into the third eye and the crown part of the temple, that you needed to go through the ears. That there was literally 2 doors on both sides of the temple. You had to enter that part of the temple through the ears. So through sound frequency vibration, we can change matter. We can shift it. And so the more we dive into exploring how to do that, then maybe these galactic portals will open up for us. So I would really like to learn more about that with all of you. And so we started going down the aisle and the Nile and completed our trip on the Dahabeyas in Aswan, where we disembarked and we went and got on another smaller boat to go to Philae. Now, the Isis temple was originally built on another site, and they noticed that there was issues with the level of the water and some changes on the island where they believed in order to keep the integrity of the temple intact, that they needed to disassemble it and reassemble it on a nearby island. And so this particular original site literally is just right across the water, a 5-minute boat ride. And we got to stop there momentarily to do a water blessing, which was very sweet, before we moved on to the actual Isis temple rebuilt site. So here we are at the Isis temple. And you can see on the right-hand side how the columns are actually pushed in. From the left side, I believe that is the original orientation of the columns. And so to have that left side, then have the main building, and then the right side is like squished in, was very interesting to see, that they didn't keep it completely and originally the same floor plan, so to speak. And you'll see this a couple times on this particular site. But this was the most dramatic photo of it. But I also wanted to bring to your attention the columns themselves. The top of each one represented different plants. And so we saw this also in Where was that prominent again? I do not recall right now where the essential oils glyphs were at. Oh goodness, I'm not going to say it and be incorrect. So we'll just watch part 2 and 3 and you'll find out that they represent different plants, whether they're medicinal, whether they're for essential oils, for nourishment, or whether they're entheogenic plants and plant medicine. So here we have a video coming up exploring some of these columns as we enter the Isis temple complex, invoking Isis. Oset is her original pronunciation of her name. So one of the first things that was pointed out to us as we entered this temple complex was this pulpit, this Coptic pulpit that literally big, large stone standing there in front of Rabbi, and behind him was a, literally like they created a hole in the wall in the temple Isis to create a Christian pulpit. And so here on the right hand side too, you could see on one of the pillars how they put a cross right over the Egyptian hieroglyphs. So again, here we have a whole nother example of religious graffiti. We've seen this multiple times at other sites, especially the painting on top of the hieroglyphs at the Luxor temple in Luxor. And so when I saw this and Rabbi started explaining it, I literally started crying. I had to put everything down. I couldn't film anything or take any more photos. These are the only 2 photos I took of this spot because it crushed my heart. This beautiful temple meant to be for the Divine Mother is graffiti and defaced. So needless to say, I had to do a little clearing energy, and I walked outside of the temple at that moment. I separated from the tour in that moment, and that's when I found the 1111 doorway, which we'll take a look at soon. So great gifts come from our biggest lessons at times. So bringing back in and grounding in that energy of Mother Isis, we are here at her temple. And what beautiful depictions of her throughout the whole temple. We have her sitting on the throne here on the left with the suckling baby, right? She's just breastfeeding her child. And then on the right, her wings of protection. Just so beautiful. The energy here was very clear for me. The energy was very feminine, very just compassionate and loving. I didn't run into any stagnant energy or mean security guards or anything. It was all very, very sweet. Everyone was very kind. Everyone was smiling. And I just had a beautiful experience at this particular temple, which is why I'm so excited to bring some of you back with us. Yeah. Here we have depictions of offerings to Isis. There were so many depictions of giving offerings to Isis. And she's wearing Hathor's crown. You can tell it's Isis because of the bird crown on top of her head. right? The bird head, but then Hathor's disc and horns, again, symbolizing mother energy, mother energy. More depictions of Sekhmet, right? This beautiful goddess, this half-lion deity. And she's translated as the powerful one, or she who is powerful. This lion-headed deity. She has the sun disk above her head. She's sometimes known as the daughter of Ra. And she is both creative and destructive forces. She would help the pharaohs in warfare, but she was also the protector of Ma'at, of balance and justice, that feather of Ma'at we spoke of earlier. And so she is really about, to me, she's really about balance as well. And she's she's definitely another powerful feminine deity that I would like to learn more about. So shot. And here we're going to move into the inner sanctum of the temple. In this beautiful space, I did leave one of my seed stones in the very center. In fact, at this point in the trip, I didn't have chunks of seed stone so much anymore. It was more like the fine dust of the quartz crystal was remaining. And so I sprinkled it literally around that entire central space in the inner sanctum. So calling in and anchoring the energies of Mother Isis and just tapping into that energy even here from home, and being able to be here with this seed stone where all the seed stones came from. It's right behind me, and I can just sit here and write and channel and receive more of Isis's wisdom. So again, we have another wall with the repeating pattern of the Ankh and the Wasat. So I've shared many photos from other sites with this pattern. It looks like a bowl at the bottom. It's got the Ankh in the center, and it has the two Wasats on either side of the Ankh. And so this repeating pattern to me symbolizes infinite breath of life, the cycle of birth and rebirth, or death and rebirth. And so, and it's funny, as Brielle and I were working on this presentation, she said, we're always looking for 11s, and I see 11s all over this repeating pattern, right? Because the Wasats themselves are 11s. And yeah, so I thank Brielle for pointing that out. And that's what it's about, right? We're all here to learn from one another. We are a community of peers. We all have our own wisdom, and we all have our own codes to bring forth and to share with the world. And so each one of us is going to get a different piece of the puzzle when we go to these sacred sites, when we experience them together. And it's all about being in discussion. Like, who sees what? Who understands this? Like, what do you see? What do you feel? What is your understanding when you stand in front of this wall of repeating patterns of the Ankh and the Wasat? And so I look forward to exploring more of these codes that come through for each and every one of us during our pilgrimage. So here's a glyph. Again, the death and rebirth, right? That cycle, that cyclic feminine energy of cycles, right? Instead of linear. And so we have the vulture on the top left-hand side of this glyph. The vulture lives from eating death. And as Brielle and I were working on the presentation, she read a description of the vulture and how the vulture actually protected other entities, birds, whatever, from the sun, from the heat of the desert sun. And that's how it lost its feathers from its head. And so that is a very altruistic symbol of the heat of the sun burning away its own feathers to protect others. And so its wings are out and in protection of these other animals and plants. The wings are also out in protection of the cycle of life, of death and rebirth. In the talons of the vulture is the Shen ring. The Shen ring is a knot. It symbolizes infinity, and it's also another portal to another dimension. And as I said before, when Sashat had the artist palette, and her palettes literally were Shen rings. She's painting portals between heaven and earth and helping create the map where these temples and sacred sites are meant to be placed. And so again, that repeating pattern. But when we look at the Ankh and the Wasat glyph, to the right of it is a Wasat, an Ankh, and the Jed pillar in the center, right? That 1111 pillar, that spine of Osiris. And we were told that Osiris's spine was found at the Temple Isis. You remember all the pieces of him were spread all over Egypt. And Isis grew wings to fly over and attempt to find all of the pieces of him, to reassemble him and bring him back to life. And so at the Isis temple, that's where his spine was found. And so for me, and a very feminine, divine mother temple is where that inner stability, that Jed pillar, that Osiris's spine was found. That's huge. That's symbolically just in so much alignment with the idea of unifying our masculine and our feminine within, to have that inner stability and that balance, that unification. Yeah. All right, so we're going to move into another video, more of the site. So this site literally was my favorite site. I mean, the pyramids of Giza, all of it is incredible. In fact, Saqqara was my second best, because it just, again, it's about the energy and the frequency for me. And so when I'm here at the Divine Mother site, so much was happening for me. And when I went from this side of the island to the other side, which, mind you, we're on an island. We are literally surrounded 360 by water. It's absolutely gorgeous. The weather is beautiful. It's perfect temperature. Like, really, really just enjoying this spaciousness to walk around and enjoy this site. We went with our group, but once the group separated and most people went home, they flew back to Cairo and had to go home. Cynthia and I continued our trip. We stayed in Egypt for another week. And so we returned to Temple Isis. And on our first trip during the group section, I went to the other side of the island, and this is where I found this beautiful galactic portal that I'd like to share with you now. And this became my favorite place in Egypt. It seems nondescript. It seems like it's just a door with the water behind it. What's so special about this? And I'm curious where it was placed on the original site. Right now, we're looking through the door and we can see that an island across the River Nile in the background there. And on the original island where the temple was built, I'm curious what it was pointing to. Did you see another island? Did you see this island that the temple is built on now? And so this is something that I'd like to research and find out more about. Needless to say, I feel like this particular galactic portal can be reactivated. And so it is one of my greatest desires and wishes to be together and collectively join at this particular galactic portal at the Temple of Isis in Philae with all of you on 11/11/2022. Let's dive a little deeper as to why. So here we'll have a little closer examination. We're starting to get a little closer. The bottom photo brings us a little closer. And then the right photo brings us even a little closer. Wait for it, wait for it. Why are we getting so close? Let's see.
We are at the Temple of Isis in Philae for our second time.
Yes, we are. So wonderful.
The energy here. Oh, the energy. Amazing. And you know, last time we were here, we came upon this gateway, this portal, this galactivation doorway. And as we were taking photos and video in it just now, we noticed two things.
Yes, we noticed that there was another 11/11 on the other side of the door. So we inquired and found out that it is a portal to the other world.
Yes, a multi-dimensional portal. Well, it has the Jed pillar of 11/11 on the opposite side of the doorway. So on both sides of the doorway, on the right and the left, is an 11/11. Yes!
So let's take a closer look at that. Oh my goodness. Right? So again, I'm an 11/11er. I have been for 20 years. And so I see repeating patterns. I see 11s everywhere in my life. And then when I'm standing at this doorway and I literally see it on both sides, it started to really make sense to me. It started to really drop into the idea that we can learn how to travel through these portals, through these gateways, that we can learn how to cultivate and master our energy to become that Jed pillar and find balance. And the 11/11 doorway and the 11/11 portal or gateway is a path. It's a way. It's a way to move through this duality and into a whole nother reality, a whole nother experience, our 5D experience here on planet Earth. And so learning how to cultivate practices that bring us into unification, to unify the polarity and the dualities. And so literally, like I'm writing a book about this called the 11/11 Codex, because there's so many ways that 11/11 can show us and guide us through synchronicities, through signs, through our intuition, leading us on our path of awakening and enlightenment. And so, as I explained in part 2, the idea around the Jed pillar, you'll see here on the right-hand side, the close-up of the Jed pillar. And if you can turn your head just a little bit sideways, you can see the 11/11. And on the original glyph of the Jed pillar from Osiris's temple in Abydos, the lines, there was 11 lines going on, or there was 10 lines going up to the 11th realm, which was a circle that showed the unification of one. and that you have to move through the 1111 portal or through the 1111 doorway to come home to the one, to the Omni One. And so when we were there for the second time and we saw the other glyph on the left side, and it kind of looks like this tall popsicle thing, but if you turn your head to the left or the right again, you could see definitively the 4 lines representing 1111. And when I asked our tour guide, what does this mean? Like, what does this particular glyph mean? We started looking at it a little bit closer, and it really is a portal. It's the symbology of a portal, and underneath it, which we don't have a close-up of, but underneath it are literally 2 doorways, right? The 2 doorways that seemingly go nowhere is underneath that glyph. So here we have it on both sides of the doorway. And when I stand in the center, my entire being got covered in truth bombs. Every word that I spoke, every sound that I made, every song that I sang standing in that doorway ran through my body, coursed through my body in such a powerful and potent way that it's unexplainable. It's unexplainable other than you have to just experience it. And so Andrew and I, we get remarried every 5 years. This year was supposed to be our 15-year recommitment ceremony, and we get married on 11/11. And we've decided to postpone it to next year for our 16-year recommitment ceremony. And so for our beloved family and friends who want to join us, we will be renting out this particular site for 2 hours on 11/11/2022 next year, so that we can have it from 10 p.m. to midnight. And we will be at this doorway, this 11/11 portal, together at 11:11 p.m. And we'll be filming it, and then we'll be live streaming it to 11:11 Unify Global Gatherings virtual event. So I invite you, family, come be with us. Come celebrate unification. Come celebrate the union of masculine and feminine within us. This is a union ceremony for all of us, not just for Andrew and Anistara, but for all of us. Because as we do this work individually, we are doing it for the collective as well. So I'd like to share a little invitation here with you.
Anistara Ma Ka here, taking a stand for love, peace, harmony, and unity. Here at the Temple of Isis in NILE, I am standing in a doorway that has the 11:11 and 11:11 on either side. This portal, this galactivated gateway to other dimensions, multidimensionality, beings of light. I invite you, Starry family, to activate the 11:11 portal with us.
Of course, I'm there with the beautiful Cynthia, and just standing in the sisterhood of what we can co-create together when we set our intentions, when we have a clear vision, when we know in our heart that it's true and it's right for us, that the universe provides, that the universe just lines up, that all the synchronicities and the signs start unveiling and showing the path in front of us. And so I call to you, family, for those of you who want to join us and be in sisterhood and brotherhood together at this beautiful site, I welcome you. The temple doors are open for you to come and be with us for this 11:11 University Mystic Initiation, Sacred Pilgrimage, and Joint Research Expedition in Egypt 2022.
Hello, family. We are back at the pyramids today, our final day in Egypt, and we figured we may as well end where we started. So we're going to take the walkabout around the Great Pyramid.
The end of the beginning.
Yes.
Giza.
There is no beginning. There is no end.
The Ouroboros.
Yes.
The snake
serpent's
eating its
tail.
tail.
Mhm. Exactly. And so we started this entire adventure at the Sphinx. And so we're going to do a lap, a walkabout around the Great Pyramid, go inside, and then head over to the Sphinx to give it some final love before we leave the country tomorrow.
Yes.
So grateful for our entire experience here. It's been absolutely magical the whole way. Just blessed.
And blessed that all of our travel companions mostly made it home safely.
Yes.
And hope they continue to feel the vibration that is rising within them.
And then our continued prayers just continuously bless us and bring us the knowledge and the wisdom that we've tapped into here, and let those codes be activated within us so that we can expand and grow and awaken even further. So, sending you all so much love.
So as you can see, we are walking around the Great Pyramid. We go inside and we enter the King's Chamber once again. And here we were able to, again, have some private time in the King's Chamber, which was amazing. We had a small group of new friends with us, and we got to sing. And I recorded some of it as well. We'll be splicing it together to create a beautiful song to share with you soon. But this was very interesting. This was pointed out to us. We didn't see it in our first trip into the King's Chamber. But there's this hole about this big in the wall. And I'm putting my heart against it here in this photo. And in the other photo, I'm literally sticking my arm down inside of it. And we were told that this is the spirit portal. We were told that this is where the spirit were to enter and exit the chamber for the king in the sarcophagus, right? So, of course, I wanted to experience the energy of having my heart against this spirit portal where spirit can enter and exit the king's chamber. I also just recently learned, I remember I mentioned it in part 3 already, but I also just recently learned that that there's the shaft that goes to the outside of the pyramid into the king's chamber and directly is aimed at the star of Al-Nilam on 11/11 at midnight. And so this starlight from this star in the Orion comes down through the shaft and brings this particular starlight into the king's chamber on 11/11 at midnight. Like, I just found this out from a documentary on YouTube, and I'm so grateful to have found this out. So of course I go to my tour guide and I say, Robbie, how can we collect the starlight? How can we collect it? My friend Stargazer Lee has a website called Planetary Essences, and this is exactly what she does. She has a telescope that tracks the moon and will have a bottle of water at the base of the telescope, and she's absorbing the moonlight into this water, and then she'll add essential oils and crystals and make sprays or tinctures, and she calls them planetary essences. So she does it with Saturn and Jupiter and Venus, and so you can collect the light of the planet or the star that you're aiming the telescope at. And so I said, how wonderful would it be to collect this particular starlight at midnight on 11/11? Well, I just found out that my dear friends at Ascended, it's a beautiful community, Ascended, and Tsunami Diamond are going to be in Egypt this year for 11/11/2021. And so I heard through the grapevine that I might be able to ask them to collect some of this starlight. And then we can share it with you when we're in Egypt together. I envision how each of you can have your own little vial of starlight to do what you will with. So that will be a special little gift that I'm hoping and praying the universe will provide for all of us. So anyhow, I just wanted to take a moment and share that little nugget because I'm so excited about it. All right, so we're going to move on to our last photo here of the Sphinx. We exit the pyramid and we go spend our last few moments with the Sphinx. And I walked around the enclosure. We didn't get to be inside at this time because that requires private access. And our tour group will have private access. Hopefully, they said 2 hours, but we'll be paying for private access between the paws of the Sphinx right after sunrise, one of our very first days together on tour together. And so here I got a different view of the Sphinx, which is amazing. And I really walked around and I saw the tail, you know, on the back side of the Sphinx and this nice big butt and this tail wrapped around it. Yeah, down at the base there. And then really got more of a zoomed out perspective of the actual Sphinx and the size of the head. And one of the things that I really learned or discovered or even experienced while in Egypt was that they didn't make mistakes. Like everything was intentional. Even the pyramids and how things were built and how a shaft at 62 centimeters is 63 centimeters, 100 meters away. Like everything is so accurate. And so to have this teeny tiny head on this huge lion body just doesn't feel accurate to me. And so I asked the question, was it truly a lion? Is this another form of graffiti that we've experienced on all the parts of Messages from Egypt? There's some kind of graffiti that somebody comes in and scratches a face off, or they create an entire Christian pulpit to preach from in Sunday Temple Isis and make a cross on top of the hieroglyphs. And so who's to say that it wasn't actually a lion when it was originally built? Because the Sphinx does face the constellation Leo. So, more to think about, more to consider, more to ponder. All right, family. Well, here we have the three sisters standing at the 1111 portal. We've got Cynthia and my new beloved friend, Crystal. And I just wanted to call in our tribe, to call in those who are feeling the call, who are hearing the call to come to Egypt. Have you always had a stirring inside your heart to go and experience Egypt and to see it? Are you interested in seeing it in a non-traditional way? You know, there's a lot of, how can I say? There's an opportunity to experience it with your own spiritual eye. There is an opportunity to go and experience it from your own perspective and to really drop into the energy and the frequency and the vibration of each of these spaces. And so we will be creating sacred ceremony off the sites as well. There will be certain moments that will be in sacred ritual together, not at the sites, and preparing us to be at the sites and how to move through these sites together with grace and ease as a group. And so we're calling in the people who not only feel like they resonate with Egypt and want to go, but who are curious in exploring other ideas than what mainstream tells us. So inviting you in, family, calling in the perfect tribe, the perfect community of peers who are willing and wanting to learn and expand and grow with one another. That each of us have a piece of the puzzle, that each of us have our own codes to be opened and expressed, and that we can co-create and weave together and unify together. That we can look at the hieroglyphs and all of our experiences through the lens of unification and how we can unify the duality and the polarity that we're experiencing in our 3D world. And so I invite you. Are you a psychic? Are you an astral traveler? Are you somebody who's already mastered energy in a big way? You know, are you a practicer of special extrasensory abilities? We all want to experience more than just what this 3D world offers in the 5 senses. So let's learn how to expand all of our abilities that we're all capable of having. Oh, I'm really looking forward to doing this with some of you. So I'd like to share our website with you. It is launching today. And just give us a moment as we move through the tech to bring that up for you. So I'm very excited. Thank you, 1111 Unify team, and all of those who are in the background assisting us with all of this. So here you'll see the website that you can go to if you're interested in joining us on the pilgrimage. It's called the 1111university.com/Egypt. And we'll give you the information here soon. But it's the 1111 University Mystic Initiation, Sacred Pilgrimage, and Joint Research Expedition to Egypt. The dates are October 26th to November 14th, 2022. So you have about a year and a half to prepare, to go through the payment plan. We've made it very flexible and easy for you to say yes. You can make your initial deposit after your application has been accepted. And so you'll see this little purple button here that says apply now. When you hit that purple button, you will get the application form. And we just ask you to fill it out from your heart. Answer the questions from the most clear and honest place that you can. We really just want to know who you are, what you're passionate about, what are your goals in life, what's your mission and your purpose if you know what it is, so that we can align and bring together the highest and best group that will be a good fit for this expedition. And of course, there's a little bit of medical history questions as well. We just want to know where you're at physically and mentally, if you have any disabilities or anything like that that could affect your full participation. And of course, we are just totally open to the flow. Not everybody has to visit every single site. There's spaciousness in the itinerary. There is spaciousness because each particular day when we're at a site, we don't compound it and try to go to another one. We really take time there. And then we return to the hotel for integration, for reflection, for writing. We might have a couple group meetings in between some of these integration times. But I really, really wanted to make sure that everybody had a lot of spaciousness and time to integrate the energies that we're going to be experiencing as we go to these sites together. So you can click the live link in the comments below, or you can also see the ticker here, the 1111university.com/Egypt/. So let's scroll down a little bit more on the site and share with you some of the details. So here is the invitation, right? That invitation and who we're calling in. So you can go ahead and read that. And as you scroll further down, you'll have a better idea on what's included in the trip. And of course, the culmination or the pinnacle of the trip is that we will be co-creating the 1111 portal ceremony, that unification ceremony at that 1111 galactic portal at the Temple Isis in Philae on 1111. And then we will live stream that video to the 1111 Unify Global Gathering virtual event. So whether you're sitting at home or whether you're at an 1111 Unify gathering in Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, Grass Valley, Shasta, Hawaii, that the people who are at those particular local events will be viewing our portal ceremony from Egypt. So this is where we start activating that mission and that purpose of 1111 Unify, of reactivating the sacred sites, reactivating the planetary light grid together and live streaming it to multiple events around the world. And Egypt is just the first place we're going to go. We want to go to Tulum and Peru and Stonehenge and visit sacred sites around the planet. And so each year we will have a sacred pilgrimage going to another site. And then there will still be the original tour. I won't be there because I'll be moving on to each site each year, but the original tour guide, Rabi, will be hosting more Egypt trips every 11/11 from here on out. So if you want to jump in and join us for this first flagship tour to Egypt, please fill out that application. So here we have all the accommodations, 20 days and 19 nights together. You can read more. We have 2 meals a day that are provided. You're provided drinking water as well as a non-alcoholic drink at every single meal. And it goes on, but we talk about the hot air balloon ride, the private access to the Paws of the Sphinx, the private access to the Great Pyramid, the private access to the Temple of Isis on 11/11 at 11:11 p.m. We'll have a private party on a nearby Nubian island that night. And then the following evening, we have a boat party on the Nile where we literally have DJs and music and cocktails and hors d'oeuvres on a party boat on the Nile, one of our final nights together. What's not included is listed there as well. Basically, it's your international flight cost. So whatever you need to get yourself to and from Egypt. And then any spend money that you want to have, or if you want to have alcoholic drinks at your meals, then you'll want to bring some spending money. But other than that, everything is covered in that price. And so we have the itinerary. As you scroll down, you'll see everything outlined for you, where we're going to be on what day. And we start at Cairo and we go all the way down to Aswan. And so eventually I'll want to have a map too that's tracking our whole thing. But each of these little triangles to the right of, so it says day 10, right? And you just click the triangle and there's a drop down explanation of the day. So each and every one of those is clickable and you can see a drop down explanation of the full itinerary, literally what time we're starting, what time we get back to the hotel, things like that. We only have 2, maybe 3 days where we really start at like 5:30 a.m. The rest of the time we have spaciousness. We don't get on the bus until 9 or 10 a.m. If you scroll further down on the website, you will see your opportunity here at the payment plan, the cancellation policy, and the payment plan's totally mapped out, and it's pretty much every 4 months. So you have spaciousness. Talk to me too. Talk to me. I am so willing to discuss what it is that you need and desire to create this for you. So if the payment plan doesn't work for you, we can talk about a different kind, or it can be monthly payments, or it can be partial trade. I'm so open to whatever it's going to take to have the good fit and the right community with us. So as you scroll further down too, you will see the explanation of who your tour guides are. So it has a little bio of me and all my little links there, including our 1111 Unify community Facebook page, as well as Anistara 1111 YouTube channel. And then we have Rabi. He is the founder of Unknown Egypt Travel. Right now it's called Secret of Kemet. He is changing it. In fact, he's launching his website right now today as this website is being launched. So it's a very big day for both of us and this vision. And underneath Rabi's bio, you will find a little TripAdvisor link and a little icon for TripAdvisor. And you just click that and you will reach all of the reviews of Rabi and other people who've gone on tour with him and things like that. And then at the bottom of the website, you will find my email address where you can send inquiries. If you have any specific questions or you want to talk to me directly about any aspect of the trip, please feel free to contact me there. So, wow, family, I am just so thrilled and excited about the prospect of spending time in Egypt with some of you. So please join us. Go to 1111 University /Egypt and fill out that application form right away. And you'll hear back from us within 1 to 3 days. And if you're accepted, then just be prepared to make an initial deposit of about $1,000. It's $1,111, but the way that the website, anyhow, it's like $1,069 or something like that. And so the sooner you make that deposit, the better, because it actually pays for our private access to the Paws of the Sphinx, the Great Pyramid, and the Temple Isis. And so we need to get that initial deposit to the Egyptian government and the antiquities. Oh gosh, I forget what it's called. But anyhow, the point is we have to pay for those private accesses as soon as possible. So just to let you know, our group size, we're hoping for a minimum of 16 people and a maximum of 50. I kind of see somewhere around 33 people. I feel like that's a good, nice round number. But we'll see what the universe provides. I also want you to know that it is family orientated. So our son, Cadence, he's 6. He'll be coming with us. Of course, it's open to all ages, but it really depends on what you want, right? So the children who are 2 years and younger can come for free. Those who are 2 to 6 will pay 25% of the total price of an adult. And then if you're 6 to 12, it's 50% of a regular adult price. And then 12 and over, it's full adult price. And so again, it includes everything that's listed on the website. And you can dive into more information there, and feel free to ask me any questions that you have. All right, so I'm just gonna drop into that magic and just sprinkle some pixie dust all over it, some portal priestess dust, and just calling it in. I'm holding my crystal here in this moment and just praying to the universe for the most divine group of people to arrive, to hear the call, to feel the call, to want to know in their heart and their spirit that they are meant to go home, that they are meant to come to Egypt, that they are meant to be a part of this initiation, this mystic initiation, where ancient wisdom meets New Age mysticism, where we get to explore the Holy Land of Kemet together, where we get to experience these sacred sites, to be activated by them individually and collectively, and to assist in reactivating them so that they can return to their original power and glory and what they are meant to do. They are meant to be portals, that they are meant to be experiences connecting heaven to earth. Just calling that in and anchoring that in. And you know what? When you say yes, the universe conspires to assist you in every way possible. The first step is to apply and then say yes. And everything will line up. We just get to watch the magic of 1111 unfold in front of us. So family, I look forward to reading your application responses and for hearing any other information that any of you want to share. If you want to comment on these videos, please do so. Share them with others. Share them with your mom or your dad. Share them with anybody that you envision traveling with. I will totally give you a discount code for people that come with you. We can do a package of 2. We can do a package of 3. This price that's on the website is just the full price. And so there's ways to create and accept and receive, and there's reciprocity that can occur to bring that price down. So, so just ask. Doesn't hurt to ask. Yes. All right, brothers and sisters. I want to take one last moment here, and I know that we heard it in part 1 and part 2, but I just want to play the end of the Anistara's song in the King's Chamber, just because it's so potent and I love it. So let's give us 5 minutes. I'm just going to drop in. Go ahead and sit back. Close your eyes if you can. And again, this is the song that was recorded in the King's Chamber. Just the last part of it, very short. At this point, I'm writing in my journal.
Oh, Maya sana katea. Oni andatina baka shatea. Rotiti paha sitono. E Maya nakona sitayate. Polia shana kita. Rumasina katea. Omia sana kea tutun. Rosata. Rosata. So Naeo,
Still gives me chills. I'd like to co-create a moment with all of you in the King's Chamber, in the Great Pyramid. We'll bring a professional microphone and we'll sing together in that sound chamber, in that healing sound chamber. We will create that frequency together. I look forward to it. Blessed be, family. What a beautiful day to create this invitation. Again, let me know if you have any questions at all. And I look forward to hearing from some of you very, very soon. Mwah. Have a beautiful day.